And at that moment, that is when I realized that I was confined by my own market. Hey there, welcome to my Epique Journey. This is Brandon DeVere. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and sharing your time with me. I do appreciate that. Here we are, the journey from 600 to 0 to 600 plus, and all the things that happen in between. Off for a couple days, actually longer than I wanted to be. I ended up taking 3 days off this week. My goal is to get these out 5 to 6 days a week. However, sometimes things pop up, things happen. And I am also, I will tell you, if I have a chance to hang out with friends and things like that, I definitely will. I am not just a machine or a robot that I see a lot of people with having great success doing and just they're on all the time. That's not me. I grew up in a small town. I was having this conversation today that I have probably, so I'm 42 years old. I'll be 43 in August. And I have probably, I would say close to that many 40-ish friends that I've known for minimum 35 years that we poured a ton of time and resources into each other over that long a time. I mean, I have one of my best friends who went to go visit in Dallas recently. He is not doing well, and our grandfathers, our parents went to high school together. Our grandfathers were roommates, like in the 30s, so 1930s. Almost 100 years ago. So when you start spanning, generations like that, you tend to make great connections. And, a friend of mine was in town this weekend and he came out. We actually went to a local beer festival. It was fun. Downtown Summerlin is where it was at. Some local breweries, some breweries from wherever, some other stuff that you probably wouldn't expect to see at a brew festival. Went and tried a couple of those. Great time. Had a lot of fun, but this particular friend came into town. He comes into town every year for the Pac-12 basketball tournament, and our parents went to high school together as well. So that's another one. But anyways, like those are I'll take time off for that. Like there's time for things, and I will often take time to spend that time with friends. And of course, I want to get these videos out and things like that. But sometimes I'll pause it for a second to go do some stuff. And anyways, wanted to kind of touch on a little story today that is something that hit me, that really hit me, and why I chose a cloud-based rev share brokerage. And I'm probably shared some of this story before, but I'm going to share it a little bit more in depth. So that where my mindset was over 6.5 years ago when I joined Epique Realty in order to capitalize on the rev share aspect. So most times you end up getting to a spot in your career. So you get a spot in your career where you are, you get to you're wanting that next level. And I was a top producer at 100% brokerage, boutique. Smaller brokers, so it wasn't like top producer of 500 agents or anything like that. It wasn't anything that crazy, but I was a top producer. I was the one where people were asking questions to, all that stuff. And I thought, okay, now I need to go to the next level. What is it? What's the next level? Is it building a team? Is it becoming a broker? Is it property management? Well, I had zero interest in property management. Didn't want to even touch that at all. Not even interested in learning about it. And then I started thinking about, okay, what about if I could be a broker? And okay, what do I want to do? Okay, well, now I am, there's additional cost, there's additional liability, and additional training, all that stuff. And the biggest part though, that really caught me, and I'm going to rewind in just a second to tell you where this thought came from. I was limited geographically. Like if I wanted to grow beyond where I was here in Las Vegas, I would have to grow one at a time, and I would have to set up shop in each one of these places. And so I would have to be, if I wanted to be a broker in the traditional sense and what everyone else was doing, it was I had to have a brokerage here. Then I would have had to open up a brokerage or a franchise or something in each different spot. Now, I had over 400 agents up in Canada in EXP. So in order for me to even reach out to that spot, like those areas, I don't even think I can do that. I'm not a resident in Canada. I don't think I can even open up a brokerage there. So not only was I limited geographically by the amount of funds it would take to go to all these spots and all the time and the bandwidth and all that, like I'm pretty sure there's laws restricting me from doing that as well, especially because I went even from Canada. I had agents in South Africa, UK, Israel, like all these different countries that I had agents in that I wouldn't have been able to do in the traditional sense. So back up a little bit, and what made me think of that when I was making that decision? Why did I go, okay, scrap this idea of becoming a broker myself and become a broker without borders is what I would call it. And I can be paid like a broker when somebody closes a transaction. I get to get paid on a portion of that, or a portion of that. But I'm not limited geographically by these borders that are confining me. So back up, I moved to Las Vegas in 2002 from Washington State. Moved down here, and the reason we moved down was I was up there, I was just doing like construction. That didn't really have anything going on up there. I was born and raised up there. Never moved anywhere else. I moved in different spots from where I was actually born. I was born in the town, Clallam, Washington, about 2,000 people at the time. It's grown a little bit now because they've added some stuff there, but small spot. One of my friends, my best friends, his grandma raised him basically until about the 7th grade. Then her and his grandpa moved to Las Vegas. We came down like back in the heyday when it was like Stacey Ogman and Grandma Ma. It was like UNLV heyday basketball. We were down here like Tark, and we were like Jared Tarkanian, like we like Tark the Shark. Like we were down. We came down here, visited, and we're like, we are going to UNLV. We graduate high school. We're gonna go do that. Moving to Vegas, all that stuff. Well, fast forward. We didn't end up doing that. We both kind of went our separate ways. We still kept in contact, best friends, all that stuff. And then he called me up and he's like, hey, Mima's sick. And I just replied and just said, hey, when are we going? So his whole family moved all the way down to Vegas, and I came with them. Within a couple of years, 3-4 years, everyone else had moved back. And I was the only one here. I met my wife here. And we had our daughter, and then we decided to move from here. So I got licensed in 2005. I was promised that somebody would take me under their wing. I'm sure no one listening to this has ever heard that story before. Hey, get your real estate license. I'll take you under your wing, and probably said something similar to this. I guarantee you'll make 6 figures effortlessly. I remember that pretty much word for word from the guy who told me that. That didn't happen, obviously. So I was kind of working a couple jobs, or working a job, and in my part-time I was working real estate. So ended up moving back to Washington State in 2009. 2012, end of 2011, 2012, ended up moving back. So roughly about 3 years when I came back from the Seattle area. Turns out that when you're from that area and you don't realize like how gloomy and rainy it is, and then you move away and you come back, you realize that it is pretty gloomy. On top of that, Eva, her dad had a liver transplant, and we kind of came back to help with that as well. But one thing that I noticed during that time was that when I left Vegas, 2009, there were multiple foreclosures, multiple short sales, multiple on every street. Went to Seattle, and yes, there were still some, Seattle and surrounding areas. There were still some, but there weren't quite as many. Couple reasons for that that I realized during that time, or realized afterwards, was okay. Well, in Vegas, I don't know if you remember, during that time there was a down here. It was basically everyone. We were hospitality only. We didn't really have anything else at the time. Not like it is now. It was hospitality, and also it was just. I mean, obviously we're known for hospitality still now, but we have way more than we did before. It was the companies weren't moving here for tax breaks or anything like that. We had no professional sports teams, anything like that. But we only had like that hospitality where people were taking their extra money and using it down here. Well, during that time, there wasn't a lot of extra money. And also even the companies that were having their big banquets and conventions and things like that here were being deterred from a national, political level to not come out here and spend any money. Like, you can't be laying people off and then having a massive event. Not that I disagree with that, but also everyone who was working here, now there were less people coming here, less jobs, obviously collapsed pretty quickly. Meanwhile, up in Seattle, you have Boeing, Microsoft, Amazon, all these things that people use all the time and likely weren't going to stop using, at least not at the rate that they were going to stop going to spend a 3-day weekend in Vegas and go spend $3-4 grand on food, drinks, and gambling and shows, right? So we didn't quite have that. So when the EXP RevShare cloud-based model presented itself, that kind of flashed in my head. Like, well, hold on, what happens? Like right now, if I'm beholden to my own market, that's it. If things are challenging in my own market, what can I do? I can only focus on my own market. I have nothing else anywhere else. If there's another market thriving throughout the country, my best bet in a traditional model is to go move to that market and capitalize on that market, which is not very feasible. It's not very, I'm not like a professional athlete where I go, oh, hey, I'm gonna go play here for a couple seasons and then go move and take the family along with you, right? It's not quite that lucrative to make those moves. And so what I looked at was, well, hey, if it were to come down, and yes, this is somewhat of a safety net. This wasn't 100% of the reason why I moved over, but it's one of the thoughts that I had in my head was, okay, if something happens and Vegas gets crushed again, like it did before, and other markets are thriving, if I have other agents, and I'll say it in my downline, in my organization, whatever you want to say, if I have agents in those markets that are closing deals, I'm still getting portions of that. I don't need all of something. Just give me a piece of a lot of things. Don't give me all of like one thing. Give me a piece of a lot of things. And with that brought a lot of peace of mind for me. And that's one of the reasons that I made the decision to make that jump, which I know a lot of people get worried, like, oh, there's no offices, there's no this, there's no that, all those things. But I just wanted to share with you today the story of one of the reasons why the cloud-based brokerage made so much sense to me, with the ability to, couple rev share with that. And where, like, I've heard so many people tell me when I say, hey, when you make rev share, you can make X amount per agent. And they're like, that's nothing. That's nothing. Because I can make X amount if I have somebody on my team here. Well, yeah, but you're also limited to them being very local, hyper local even. And you're also limited to the production of that one agent, and you're going to have to recruit and build an entire team. So in the last year, the last just over 9 months, and I will say probably more in the last 3 to 4 months, that I've actually been more involved in the recruiting and attraction process. The first few months I kind of was not really at it like I am now, right? I was just kind of, mentioning it to a few people, do this, a couple people call me, they saw that I left. But then now that I've been doing videos and things like that, and I'm talking to agents every single day, right? So within the last few months, I'm at 50 agents with a few more coming on now. But imagine trying to do that solely by myself, right? Same thing. Doing it by myself and in one single market. Very difficult. Right now, I think I'm in 13 states, which is half of our states, which is actually pretty good, right? It's not growing as fast as I want to, but it's about to, and it's about to pick up, and being able to leverage all these things. So now if I had 50 in my own state and I was just the agent here, that'd be great. And I was getting all those, but that 50, again, I'm not going to have 600 agents on my own team here locally. That is watching over everybody all the time. So the point being is that there's massive leverage to be had in being in multiple states, eventually in multiple countries. That's where I will go. That's where Epique will go. That's where I intend to grow all that. But that is when I look back and saw the benefit of, okay, now if I'm in a challenging market, I can actually benefit. And that's helped me see a lot of other things about how I can start benefiting by different markets. There's other markets that have different programs available to them. For instance, like we have certain state programs that help first-time buyers and culinary employees and things like that might not be available somewhere else. Like they have things that aren't available for people like us here in Nevada. So that's just one thing that I would encourage you to do is take a look and be like, can I grow as much as I want to grow? Well, one, do I want to grow? Do I want to grow beyond where I'm at now? If I do want to grow, can I do it enough within my own state? And if not, how can I leverage a model that would, or how can I do it on my own? Maybe you do want to get licensed in multiple states and do that thing. I did not want to do that. And I saw that there was massive limitations on that. So that's what I looked at. Just want to share that story with you so that you could understand, like, get in my mind a little bit of why someone would go to a cloud-based brokerage and not necessarily just build a team. And that's kind of the story on that. So to share that with you, I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I have an agent attraction I'm doing locally here live with in person with some agents that we have coming in. Also, that gives my agents a chance to learn a little bit how to present, as well as bring agents to come in and see the model and see if it's something that they're interested in. So I will see you tomorrow, and have a great one.